Let me be really clear about this. Business is tough. Business is tough, particularly small business is very tough. There's no guarantee that this business will survive into the future, the same as there's no guarantee for any business. Businesses will be successful or not on the strength of what they do, their planning, their effort, their determination. They should be the things that make the difference on whether a business succeeds or not, and it's always, always tough. It can't ever be because the government got in the way.
I know we're Aboriginal, but just push that aside. We're also a business, and we got the rights as the other business operators, and we should be treated like that, but we're not.
Maybe it's the colour of our skin. Maybe it's the colour of our skin. Maybe it's a way of control that the government look at us as these Aboriginal people may do good. They might be able to set up a community that's totally independent of government funding, and maybe they don't want that to happen. I don't know. I can't see any logical reason why they want to put so much barriers in front of us. I just don't.
We're a cultural tourism business. I suppose we set ourselves up so that we can become a self-sufficient sort of group of Aboriginal people.
The cultural side was, we've been doing it for years, but all our lives. But setting up a business, it was totally different, and none of us sort of work in, like in a business type thing, because this place is owned and run by, us.
Some people will come up for food, some people will come for the culture, some people will come for everything. Other people will come to have a look at artefacts. Some people actually come to watch Clarence actually make an artefact, a boomerang or a tapping stick. It's about that family business. It's about us all working together, and we've all got expertise in certain areas and we all bring that together. I mean, you've got Cliff and Vincent have worked in national parks. You've got Kingsley has worked in government departments as well, as like Centrelink. He's an Aboriginal health worker, so one of the first Aboriginal health workers in the state. But Terry with the teaching, him and Josie are both from education. Myself, I was in education, community welfare, now in health. Clary, he's a great plant operator. He can operate any machinery. And then, you've got Phil, people like that who are just, all-rounders. People are just all around us.
Multi-skilled.
Multi-skills. I mean, Josie and I can do any of the tours, we can do any of the cooking, we can do any of the campfires, we can sing, so it's a whole range of things.
We have different audiences of people. We have school groups, people from TAFE, different departmental groups that come up to do cultural awareness here at Iga Warta. We've had judges that have come up from the different court and Supreme Court systems.
Iga Warta's cultural experiences is second to none. It's one of the unique programs in Australia. This is the only kind of experience that people, or only opportunity where people can learn about this environment, learn about Aboriginal people, learn about culture, learn about the life change of Aboriginal society. All these things are so important for Australian history. People come to Australia, and what you try to do is build Australia's economy, and through tourism. Iga Warta is a big part of that.
The asset this Australia's got is us, Aboriginal people. We are an important asset. And then people haven't woken up to that yet. So if the rest of Australia become wiser to the cause, the Indigenous experiences could bring major dollars into the country.
Can't teach culture in
in a classroom, you know. This is classroom out here. You see the environment itself.
We grew up on the land. We know how to read the land. We got first-hand knowledge about bush tucker because we eat the bush tucker. We don't just talk about it, we practice it.
The things that we experience naturally by being around our grandparents, you know, suddenly tourists want that experience, you know, and they want to pay for it.
80% of people that come out to Australia, they come out and look at Aboriginal products. So that's quite a big number, and there are a number of Aboriginal businesses in Australia. We've talked to other operators within the area, like the Ark Rulers and the Wool Penis of the world, and see if there was a need, you know, for this sort of stuff to happen. They said, yeah, because we always getting requests, you know, they want to look at, you know, the indigenous products, you know, and there is a big need for it, you know, to be in this area. And then that's when we came back and set this place up.
We find that a lot of, you know, the independent travellers are just looking for this kind of experience, you know, but mainly European independent travellers. Well, when they hit Australia or prior to coming to Australia, people look us up and say, yeah, well, I want to go and have this bit of experience.
Yeah. We arrive here for 1 hour, and Terence, so the big family chief, said to us, you can stay here, work a little, and we will give you accommodation for this. So now we are here for 10 days, and we don't know when we will leave, but it's a very nice place to be. Big family business, you know, with it begins with a very young boy, 2 years old, to a great mother, 80 years old. Family business, very nice to be.
When you talk to them about the family of the extended family, not just the few that are here, they've all got good jobs, they've got good education, many of them have been to university, and that's not sort of what you read in the press. You read about unemployment and not wanting to work and those sort of things, yet here are these people working, and the whole extended family is very active in the community and producing for the community.
The family at Iga Warta are progressive, and they are working hard to develop a dream. And their dream is for people like me and the group of people that we bring up here to be able to come out here and just enjoy a little bit of what these guys feel is their life. And so what they're doing is opening the door and saying, well, step on in, guys, just come and spend a little bit of time with us, see what we're really all about, understand, we'll show you, we'll tell you, we'll share with you, and then you can take home a good memory and maybe tell your friends that it's a little different to what they really think.
When you come from Europe, it's something like a goal to meet Aboriginal people, and we achieve it.
We went to the museum in Melbourne. We didn't understand anything of the paintings of Aboriginal people. And for us it's very interesting because we were in other sites in the Grampians and in Tasmania. We saw paintings or gravings, and there were nobody to explain us what were the pictures.
The meanings, yeah.
The meanings, so this time it's really interesting to go to tours and to have the explanations.
Staying here was the best thing, because otherwise you can visit and just look at their artwork and you don't really exchange views or anything or hear how they've experienced life. So today this has turned out that's what we're getting here, an experience of their life and their beliefs.
Just in having a positive experience engaging with Aboriginal people, is just that in itself is magic. It's really instructive for Australians and for overseas visitors.
It's all very well to read things in books, but you don't actually appreciate it until you come to a place like here and get involved with the tours, that it really starts to mean a lot more to you, and you can really get a strong feel for the cultural heritage which they have for the land. So I think it's been fantastic.
when we do our social history tour, we talk about how there was a breakdown in communication because they first met, the white Australian and the Inuit. And that happened right across the country. What we're doing now is we're trying to cut down that barrier, so we can say, well, okay, you come along and join us, and I reckon that's coming together is what cultural tourism is all about.
My father, who was actually heavily involved in the early establishment of Arkaroola, he became one of the first tour guides for Reed Spriggs at Arkaroola, and in those days he found that a lot of people were asking him a lot about Aboriginal involvement in this country. So, Dad would show them plants that are significant for food, bush tucker, or for medicinal purposes, and other stuff that as he went on his little journey as a part of his tour guiding, And then he said cultural tourism was going to be the way of the future. I guess that's what was the birth of Iga Warta.
Dad wanted us to do this. That was Dad's dream, I reckon. Dad wanted us to do something like this. And he used to say that to him too, when your boys grow up and get your education and do things, try and get a place that you can do your own stuff out of it, to work. Business, some sort of business. It would have been good if you're still around to see it, what's happening now. Yeah.
Dad worked, when he was, when we was growing up, he worked on the sheep station, and he could see, his vision was that the sheep industry is going to slow down, and even today now the wool prices have dropped and so on. So that's why people are not really interested in sheep.
These old blokes knew the cycles, knew what was happening, and could see that dry times ahead, and they'd improvise and I suppose adapt with the climate, and that's why they looked. I suppose they're visionaries in a way. They looked ahead,
Got up to 8,000 or 10,000 sheep on Anjapina at different times, and then other times there's been hardly anything. With the drought we were down to 500 sheep. Drought and dingoes. Dingoes have come into the area a bit in the last few years, and played a bit of havoc on the sheep. It's a bit hard
Things
trying
like
to run a pastoral property and tourists as well.
It's too hard. It's hard work, tourism.
Yeah.
Well, Clem was the first Aboriginal person I ever met, because my first job was at Arkaroola. I used to do cooking there, and I can remember him saying, I'd be glad to go home with the weekend so we can have some kangaroo, and I didn't believe it. You were going to eat kangaroo? You're actually going to eat it? Yeah, it's beautiful. He always turned up, and he was always clean, his khakis on, and this is 30, 40 years ago. Hair combed nicely, and this and that. He wasn't, and he turned up every day. Nobody used to say, "Oh, where's Clem? He didn't turn up today" or something. He'd always be there. You knew that he knew about this country, and if you wanted to know, you'd go and ask Clem or his dad when the old fellow was alive. But Clem was always willing to tell you stories. He must have had this idea in his head that, if my kids get an education, they'll be able to do something with this tourism and with our culture and tell stories and, yeah.
Well, our father basically laid the foundation for cultural tourism. We regard ourselves as planting the seed. and the next generation, we hope, will raise the crop, and the generation after that we might reap some of the fruits from it. We struggled here from day one, and but our other non-Aboriginal operations have been pampered a bit by giving a bit of extra, supports from government. And just the way it is. But us Aboriginal people, we haven't really been recognised as a valuable asset to be able to support us financially. So, we just got to do it the best way we possibly can.
Iga Warta is on the verge of a shutdown because all these barriers that are put there, and become another community totally dependent on government funding. We don't want that. We want to be able to stand alone. We just want the right to be able to stand alone.
The heart of this issue here is that without freehold tenure, or something very, very similar, but some really rock solid direct tenure to the business operator, they can't develop their business any further.
Freehold title is a title that is sourced in the common law and that is granted by the government. And there are a set of rights that are associated with freehold title, which are a right to exclude everybody, a right to... It's the biggest bundle of rights that you can have in land under the Australian property law system. Basically, you can do what you like with the land.
What they have is the Coulthard family have a lease from the Nepabana Council, who have a lease from ALT, Aboriginal Lands Trust. So the land we're talking about in the Flinders Ranges belongs to all South Australians. ALT have the responsibility and the right to manage it on behalf of South Australians. I think it's very important that Aboriginal people do have that right.
Don Dunstan created the Aboriginal Lands Trust as a temporary measure so that you can hold these lands in trust for Aboriginal people. And of course Don Dunstan got out of politics and everything just sort of stopped there, and the Lands Trust still exists today.
The Aboriginal Lands Trust was supposed to hold the title of the land for the people. And that's the principles behind it, to hold the title for the people. But they think they own the land.
The ALT's changed from what it was supposed to do. I mean, it's changing to meet the people who sit on the board and the government. That's not the intent from Don Dunstan. It is they're just to hold in trust for Aboriginal people. But now they've not only hold in trust, but they want to manage. Hold in trust and manage is two different things.
So even though a group has got native title, there's still this other body that has the power to make decisions about the land.
We've got our own structures in place to hold this place in trust now for Aboriginal people. We don't need the ALT.
They want us to submit development plans, of different things that we need to develop here. And they just hold up giving us approvals for it.
One particular request for development took 2 years for approval. You've got to go through all these different steps to get before you can get approval. We like to follow a process, but the process sometimes is far too slow. There's no one else has to wait 2 years to get any building approvals. Nowhere else in this country except Iga Warta.
What we're talking about is approximately 1 square kilometre of that land where a family has built up a business over a very, very long period of time now, and they can't develop their business any further. They can't get finance from banks without real security and real tenure over this land. Banks will not lend you money to build and develop a property unless you have very, very secure tenure of that property. And I think it's very fair that the Coulthard family gets that over this very, very small piece of land.
This piece of land here, for example, now, a bit of bushland,
up until we came and did something here, it wouldn't be worth very much. You know, the land itself, because we're so far away from everything else. And it just would not be worth much. All the infrastructure on the place, it belongs to us, but the Aboriginal Land Trust wouldn't give us this piece of land, freehold. Why? Who knows? But you know, other operations, like other businesses, non-Aboriginal businesses, have got freehold. You know, Arkarula's got freehold on the resort area. Wilpina's got freehold on the resort area.
It's clear that if the government of the day wanted to give them freehold title, they could do it. But there has got to be a clear desire on behalf of the government to do it, and that appears to be lacking.
We've been trying now for the last 10 years to have the government change its, make some changes so that Iga Warta could either get a direct lease, aid lease, or because it's just far too difficult to continue to operate.
If it's not possible to give them freehold title because of the Aboriginal Land Trust Act, well, what we've got to do is change. They can change it. Parliament can change it very quickly if they want it. You've got to have a will.
If they want something to happen, they can make it happen. You know, I'll tell you, this country is a crooked country. You know, if they don't want you to make a progress, they'll find ways of holding you back, rather than look for ways that they can support you.
This is not an Aboriginal issue for me. This is about business support, it's about business development, it's about regional development, it's about tourism. And I would take this stance for any family or for any business who have built a business up, worked the way the Coulthards have done, and who are now at the stage where they can't develop their business any further without this piece of support. Nobody's going to suffer. This business is already there operating. The Coulthards already, from an operational perspective, already control this section of land. So the Nepabunna Council and ALT will not suffer. There's nothing that they currently do or would like to do on that property that they can't do in future if the 1 square kilometre freehold is granted. From an operational perspective, everything will stay the same. But the Coulthard family, and importantly the Iga Warta business, which they've developed, they've built up and supports tourism throughout the Flinders Ranges, can then continue to grow. In Outback South Australia, every business that succeeds supports other businesses that succeed. We're sparsely populated. We need to help businesses because it's not only that businesses, others, all of tourism in the Flinders Ranges will benefit if Iga Warta can be a better, more successful place. I'm approaching the Minister directly. The Minister has the authority to clear this up. What I'm doing is saying, Minister, sort this out. You can't tell me that you won't get rid of the red tape and you won't free things up for this business because there are a whole other range of complicated issues. They can be sorted out. It's been done before. It's very possible and it should happen now.
Our family are probably at a time where they are thinking, well, where's this place going to end up? Because unless we get some security, we just don't really want to invest any more of our time and energy into something that's not going to take us anywhere.
We wanted to put Adnyamathanha people on the map. We wanted to put Adnyamathanha culture on the map. So we know that in our lifetime, when we've left this earth physically, that we've had a small part to play in something quite huge that will be there for generations to come. It's always been, the way policies have been written and enforced is that, trying to make Aboriginal culture die out, really. But I guess we've just gone the other way. Develop an Iga Warta to make sure that, Aboriginal culture, or especially Adnyamatna culture, is here. Going to be here for a long time.
Chapaki pachi, urina rapaki pachi, lucky chapaki pachi, rabbit chapaki pachi. Po, 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 po. Urina rapaki pachi, lucky chapaki pachi, urina rapaki pachi, rabbit chapaki pachi. Po, po, po.